Praxis 517, Elementary Education 2026 Curriculum Instruction and Assessment Prep. Flashcard 1. Erickson's Psychosocial Development First 4. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is trust versus mistrust. Early childhood 2 to 3 years. Autonomy versus shame and doubt. Preschool 3 to 5 years. Initiative versus guilt. School age 6 to 11 years. Industry versus inferiority. School age 6 to 11 years. Flashcard 2. Misconceptions. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is invalid concepts that students construct using their experiences, expectations, beliefs, and emotions. Flashcard 3. How to teach concepts of print. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is example shared book experience. Use pointers such as button pointer to point to the text in big books, pocket charts, and any charts you create in your classroom to develop and reinforce concepts of print. Flashcard 4. Strategies to develop students' phonological awareness skills. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is finger spelling, clapping syllables, picture sorting. Flashcard 5. Decoding. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is the ability to apply your knowledge of letter-sound relationships, including knowledge of letter patterns, to correctly pronounce written words. Flashcard 6. The shared book experience. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is teachers use big books, includes introduction, pre-reading, ask predictive questions, read story with the dramatic punch and point to text, tracking of print, have discussion, read on subsequent days with the whole group. Flashcard 7. Concepts of print. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is left to right progression. Words on the page are read from left to right. One-to-one correspondence. Spoken words match print. Return sweep. You return to the left after reaching the end of a line of print. Spaces between words. Top to bottom. Words on a page are read from top to bottom, beginning and end. Where to start and stop reading a word, sentence, or book. Flashcard 8. Strategies to develop phonic and word analysis skills to support decoding. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is morphology, syllabication, word building, word/letter sorts, high-frequency words. Flashcard 9. Strategies to develop fluency to support comprehension. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is selecting appropriate text which are at instructional level, modeling fluent reading, paired reading, echo reading, readers theater, repeated reading. Flashcard 10. Strategies for teaching students to ask and answer questions about text predictions. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is use evidence from text, schema, and pictures to make a prediction about what might happen next in a text. Flashcard 11. Strategies for teaching students to find and organize key details and main ideas and themes in a text. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is plays, think-alouds, graphic organizers. Flashcard 12. How to develop students' understanding of point of view and how it influences meaning of text. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is first person I and me standpoint, personal perspective, Third-person narrator is not a character, but sees the world through only one character's eyes and thoughts. Their person omniscient to the narrator is not a character in the story but knows what all the characters are thinking along with the events that happen. Third-person objective. The narrator is an outsider who can report only what he or she sees and hears. This narrator can tell us what is happening, but he can't tell us the thoughts of the characters. Flashcard 13. How to develop students' ability to distinguish among fact, opinion, and reasoned judgment. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: fact is something that can be proven true. Opinion is something that someone thinks or feels about something. Reasoned judgment to decision that requires time and effort and results from careful information gathering, generation of alternatives, and evaluation of alternatives. Flashcard 14. Signal words. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: words that indicate that a list, contrast, or connection is about to be made. Examples: cause/effect, because, since, consequently, this led to so. Then compare/contrast, different from, same as, although, however. Description, for example, such as first, second, problem/solution. The question is: one answer, sequence/chronological order, next, then, before, after. Flashcard 15. Scaffolding strategies to support students' progress toward independent proficient reading. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answers provide access to grade-level text, purposeful grouping, close reading. Flashcard 16. Primary sources. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: eyewitness accounts of history. They include letters, diaries, speeches, and interviews. Flashcard 17. Secondary sources. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: commentaries, summaries, reviews, or interpretation of primary sources to provide new insights or historical perspectives. Flashcard 18. Strategies to help students distinguish between primary and secondary sources, reliable and unreliable sources, and paraphrasing and plagiarizing. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: example 4. Web. Keep it real. Read the URL. Examine the content. Ask about the author. Look at the links. Flashcard 19. Strategies to develop students' ability to determine word meaning and develop vocabularies. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: example in this activity, students use their knowledge of prefixes and suffixes to create new words based on the root words provided. Each worksheet has a total of 3 new roots with a word bank for prefixes and suffixes. Students create new words using a prefix, root, and suffix and then come up with what they think is the correct definition. Once this part is completed, students look up the words they have created and write down the correct dictionary definition and judge how close they came. Flashcard 20. Develop active listening skills. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: looks like your eyes on speaker, still bodies and hands on lap or table, appropriate expressions, raising your hand to speak, sounds like one voice at a time, appropriate comments and questions, quiet bodies, inside voices, waiting to be called and to speak. Flashcard 21. Developing oral presentation skills. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: Flashcard 22. Formative assessment. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: assessing a student's understanding as you teach a unit, for example through homework, observation, in-class activities, journal writing, etc. Flashcard 23. Summative assessment. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is evaluation at the conclusion of a unit multiple choice, true/false, constructed response. Flashcard 24. Properties of operations. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is rules that help us add, subtract, multiply, and divide effectively and efficiently. Flashcard 25. Scientific method. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is a series of steps followed to solve problems, including collecting data, formulating a hypothesis, testing the hypothesis, and stating conclusions. Flashcard 26. Informal and/or authentic science assessment. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is teacher observation and questioning, journals and/or logs, interviews and conferences, group and peer assessment, self-assessment, performance-based samples such as portfolios, project learning, and student work, comparing and contrasting. Flashcard 27. Overall purpose of teaching social studies. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is students first learn about themselves, then their families, their communities, their territory or province, their country, and eventually the world. Flashcard 28. Overall purpose of teaching science. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is helping students discover that a major influence on the culture of society is the discovery and innovation of science and technology. Flashcard 29. Teaching math in real-world contexts. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is helpful to motivate students and access prior knowledge, should not be elevated to a general principle. Some math must be taught for math's sake alone. Students should be able to say, this learning will help me do this. Flashcard 30. Albert Bandura. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is sociocognitive. Personality comes from observing others and modeling ourselves after them. Flashcard 31. Jacob Kunin's classroom management theory. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is believe teachers have the ability to affect students' behavior through instructional management. Having good classroom management skills and well-paced lessons are both teacher behaviors TGAT demonstrate. Witness he found 4 characteristics that a teacher needs. 1. Witness means that you have eyes all over you, that you see things, you pick up on what's going on in your classroom. A. Pick up on body language. B. Know what is going to happen before it happens. D. This can be developed with practice too. Overlapping activities and not everybody has to be doing the same thing. A. Managing different things at the same time. 3. Maintenance of group focus, making sure that all of your group/students are engaged in and focused on learning. 4. Movement management to having unused time. B. Transitions. Any times you have movement or change, it is a great opportunity to misbehave. 1. Warn your students ahead of time. Flashcard 32. Physical education concepts. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is exercise, physical fitness, game and sport skills, safety, locomotor patterns, body management, social discipline, healthy lifestyles. Flashcard 33. Elements of music. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is texture, harmony, melody, rhythm. Flashcard 34. Purpose for teaching art. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is the goal of art education in today's elementary schools is to help children acquire a better understanding of art as a way of learning about themselves and the world around them. Flashcard 35. Purpose for teaching music. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is music is considered a fundamental component of human culture and behavior. It touches on all learning domains, including the psychomotor domain, the development of skills, the cognitive domain, the acquisition of knowledge, and, in particular and significant ways, the affective domain, the learner's willingness to receive, internalize, and share what is learned, including music appreciation and sensitivity. Flashcard 36. Purpose for teaching physical education. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is to develop the skills, knowledge, and confidence necessary to lead a physically active lifestyle. A high-quality physical education program promotes an active lifestyle, improved health, motor skill development, and better cognitive performance. A student who becomes skilled and knowledgeable in physical education is more likely to become a healthy adult who is motivated to remain healthy and physically active throughout his or her life. Promotes lifelong physical activity and attitudes and behaviors that reduce health risks. Flashcard 37. Psychomotor domain. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is includes abilities related to physical prowess ranging from reflexes to basic motions such as catching and throwing a ball, to skilled motions such as playing tennis or playing the piano. Flashcard 38. Teaching art, music, and physical education. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is students in schools who have art, music, and physical education taught by specialists may do better on state standardized tests. Flashcard 39. What are 3 factors that help create a positive learning environment? Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is consistency, structure, and discipline. Flashcard 40. What are Thorndike's 3 laws? Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is law of effect, law of readiness, law of exercise. Flashcard 41. Bloom's taxonomy. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is a system for categorizing levels of abstraction of questions that commonly occur in educational settings. Includes the following competencies: knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. Flashcard 42. Phonemic awareness. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is ability to hear and manipulate individual phonemes. Includes the ability to hear and manipulate larger units of sound such as onsets and rhymes and syllables. Flashcard 43. Alphabetic principle. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is the understanding that words are made of letters and letters represent sounds. Flashcard 44. Orthography. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is the art of writing words with the proper letters, the conventional spelling system of a language. Flashcard 45. Morphology. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is the study of the structure of words. Flashcard 46. Onset and rhyme. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is onset is the initial sound unit of any word and the rhyme is the stream of letters that follow. Flashcard 47. Prosody. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is the patterns of stress and intonation in a language. Flashcard 48 Structural analysis. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is the process of using familiar word parts to determine the meaning of unfamiliar words. Flashcard 49 Receptive vocabulary. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is comprehension vocabulary used by a person in silent reading and learning. Flashcard 50 Expressive vocabulary. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is total range of language which can be produced by a person. Flashcard 51 Semantics. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is the meaning of a word, phrase, sentence, or text. Flashcard 52 Stages of Writing Development Scribbling. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is letter-like symbols, string of letters, beginning sounds emerge, consonants represent words' initial, middle, and final sounds, transitional phases, standard spelling. Flashcard 53 Elkanon boxes. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is a strategy for segmenting sounds in a word that involves drawing a box to represent each sound in a word. Flashcard 54 Word families. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is a collection of words that share common orthographic rhymes, such as hike, bike, like, etc. Flashcard 55 Systematic instruction. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is teaching a set of useful sound/spelling relationships in a clearly defined, carefully selected, logical instructional sequence. Flashcard 56 Literature circles. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is a student-centered reading activity in which each member of the group is assigned a role as the group discusses what they have read. Flashcard 57 Constructivist theory of language acquisition. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is Piaget's view of cognitive development, in which children discover or construct virtually all knowledge about their world through their own activity. Flashcard 58 Sociolinguistic. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is how language and its use is shaped by a society or culture. Flashcard 59 Psycholinguistic. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is the study of how language is acquired, perceived, understood, and produced. Flashcard 60 Skew analysis. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is a way of acquiring insight into children's reading strategies by studying the miscues they make when reading aloud. Flashcard 61 Bloom's taxonomy detailed description of levels. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is knowledge, remember, recall, appropriate info, comprehension, understand, to grasp the meaning of info, applied use material in new and concrete situations, analyze, break down material into new and component parts so that its organizational structure may be understood, evaluate, make judgments based on criteria and standards, synthesize, create, put elements together to form a coherent or functional whole. Flashcard 62 Life Science. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is characteristics of organisms, life cycles of organisms, organisms and environment. Flashcard 63 Earth and Space Science. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is interrelationships in Earth systems and space systems, Earth patterns, cycles, and change. Flashcard 64. Geology. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is study of the Earth. Flashcard 65. Hydrology. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is the scientific study of the properties, distribution, and effects of water on the Earth's surface, in the soil and underlying rocks, and in the atmosphere. Flashcard 66. Meteorology. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is study of Earth's atmosphere and weather. Flashcard 67. Physical science. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is physical and chemical changes, temperature and heat, sound, light, electricity and magnetism, force, motion and energy, matter, astronomy. Flashcard 68. Materials, equipment, texts and technologies, social studies. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is use of manipulatives and developmentally appropriate materials, equipment, texts and technology in social studies, such as physical, topographic, political, and weather maps, globes, aerial imagery, satellite images, graphs, tables, diagrams, graphic organizers, pictures, real-world resources, and trade books, including multicultural tests and narrative tests, as well as information from various sources, software, and the Internet. Flashcard 69. Health. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is healthy living, growth, nutrition, safety and well-being, communicable diseases, substance abuse, common diseases. Flashcard 70. Informal and/or authentic social studies assessment. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is teacher observation and questioning, interviews and conferences, group and peer assessment, self-assessment, performance-based samples such as portfolios, project learning, oral reports as student work, comparing and contrasting, organizing data, problem-solving, critical thinking, model building, planning, forecasting, and decision-making. Flashcard 71. Geography. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is locations, places, and human movement, environment and society. Places and regions, human and physical systems, states, regions, United States, and the world. Flashcard 72. History. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is society, democracy, chronological thinking, relationships between past and present, U.S. history from founding to 20th century developments and transformations in the U.S. and classical civilizations, Egypt, Greece, Rome, and China. Flashcard 73. Market. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is economy, an economic system in which people choose freely what to buy and sell. Flashcard 74. Global marketplace. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is trading and working with other countries. Flashcard 75. Federal government. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is a form of government in which powers are divided between a central government and several local governments. Flashcard 76. Branches of government. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is legislative creates laws, judicial interprets laws, and administrates justice, executive implement, support, and enforce the laws. Flashcard 77. Number sense. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is the ability to understand numbers and their relationships. Flashcard 78. Pre-number concepts. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is matching, sorting, comparing, ordering. Flashcard 79. Teaching fractions. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is high plate fraction strategy. Flashcard 80. Number concepts. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is words, symbols, quantity, counting patterns. Flashcard 81. Rational numbers. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is any number that can be written as a fraction. Flashcard 82. Number theory. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is the study of numbers and the relationships between them. Flashcard 83. Additive inverse. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is 0 equals 11 plus 11. Flashcard 84. Multiplicative inverse. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is a number times its multiplicative inverse is equal to 1, also called reciprocal. Flashcard 85. Equalities. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is used to different units to describe the same measured amount. Flashcard 86. Inequalities. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is a mathematical sentence involving or equals plus. Flashcard 87. Quantitative change. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is change in number or amount, such as in height, weight, or size of vocabulary. Flashcard 88. Qualitative change. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is change in kind, structure, or organization, such as the change from nonverbal to verbal communication. Flashcard 89. Dimension. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is a measurable extent, such as the 3 principal dimensions of an object of width, height, and depth. Flashcard 90. Coordinate geometry. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is a mix of geometry and algebra. In this field of mathematics, geometric figures are placed on the coordinate plane and then studied using algebra. Flashcard 91. Informal geometry. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is provide students with the concepts and skills necessary for finding the perimeter, area, surface area, and volume of common geometric figures, graphing equations on the coordinate system, and deriving the equation for the third line from a pair of points using the Pythagorean theorem to solve problems involving right triangles, determining if triangles are similar and finding an unknown side in similar triangles, and determining unknown angles in figures by calculating the sum of the interior angles. Flashcard 92. Metric units. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is a measurement system that measures length in millimeters, centimeters, meters, and kilometers, capacity in liters and milliliters, mass in grams and kilograms, and temperature in degrees Celsius. Flashcard 93. Standard units of measurement. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is a system of measurement for linear, mass, and liquid FT, YTLB, Oz, cup, gallon. Flashcard 94. Area. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is length x width. Flashcard 95 volume. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is amount of space occupied by an object. Flashcard 96 rates. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is a comparison of two quantities with different units. Flashcard 97 spread. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is a program that allows you to use rows and columns of data to manage, predict, and present information. Flashcard 98. Materials, equipment, texts, and technology, math. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is use of manipulatives and developmentally appropriate materials, equipment, texts, and technology in mathematics instruction such as spinners, number cubes, balls in a jar, software, the internet, handheld calculators, and spreadsheets. Flashcard 99. Math problem solving. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is investigating and understanding content, formulating problems from everyday situations, verifying and interpreting results, identifying and solving problems that are developmentally appropriate. Flashcard 100. What are Maslow's deficiency needs? Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is physiological needs: food, sleep, clothing, etc. Safety needs: freedom from harm or danger. Belongingness and love needs: acceptance and love from others. Esteem needs: approval and accomplishment. Flashcard 101. What are Maslow's growth needs? Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is cognitive needs: knowledge and understanding. Aesthetic needs: appreciation of beauty and order. Self-actualization needs: fulfillment of one's potential. Flashcard 102. Teaching methods. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is activating learning, projects, guided discovery, problem-solving, exposition and direct instruction, games, situations and recreations, investigations,